2 minutes.
That's how he knows about it.
Oh, wow. That's what's going to clear out. We're going to go through the presentation. And then we'll
YouTube says we're about to start.
oh, yeah. No, we'll sit here. They don't want to stay.
Gentlemen in the gallery in the back, you guys want to come on in? Sergeant Gibbs, did you want to walk in as well? That'd be great, thanks. Officer Kelly, I see you lurking. There we are. Yeah. Miss Connor, there we go. Murray, Officer Murray, come on in. Oh, not there. No, I'm just kidding. I hate the mayor. So we're going to get started here in just a minute. Oh, here we go. Gina, do you want me to record this one up here as well? I'm the only one that's on there.
Yes.
You still want me to record it?
Just in case.
Okay. Okay. There we go. All right, there's that. And you're ready?
Ready.
Okay. Oh, look, I got my gavel back. All right, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, July 6, 2021. It's 7 p.m., and this is a regular meeting for the City Council of Woodland. If I could please get everyone to please silence your cell phones and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So this is going to be a struggle tonight because it's been so long since we've all been together. Just so everyone knows, this is our first time together since March of 2020. So, as a group. So go ahead and take the roll.
It's like riding a bike.
Well, I'll get there in a minute, but yeah. Swing it.
Here.
Councilmember Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Plaza.
Here.
Councilmember Frederick.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Graham. Councilmember Holland.
Present.
Councilmember Graham has called out this evening to accept a motion to excuse. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Frederick, second by Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick.
Aye. All right, the ayes have it. Mrs. Graham has been excused. I told you it's going to take me a minute. Chief, presentations this evening. Go ahead and have you step up there.
Present time, present time. Yeah, present time.
I'm excited because we get to do this in person instead of making stuff up on TV. So, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the Woodland City Council, and thank you all for being here. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize some of the members of your police department. The last year and a half has been a difficult one for the members of our profession, and the Woodland Police Department is no different. Your police department has endured the usual long, thankless hours on duty and exposed to the hazard of last year plus. They sign in service and await the unknown. Any call received may expose them to any of the hazards of the job, including the invisible hazard of the pandemic. While many have had the opportunities to quarantine and work from home, your police department continued, without question, to patrol the streets of our fine city, answering any calls to protect the city and its surrounding community. Your police department members have continued to provide the excellent public service to the citizens of Woodland, upholding the oath they swore. While businesses were forced into a position to find new ways to survive, your department quietly pushed on and drove forward to protect our city, doing what was needed to be done to help our city thrive during this crisis. This was very evident during this crisis, as many of our wonderful citizens contacted our office to express their appreciation for the job your department does each day. Although what this department does is not as visible as a newly paved road, a new home, or new businesses opening in our city, your department is committed to professional public service, doing so without seeking recognition. Your department continues to make a difference in your community every day. Tonight, you'll hear of some of the vital work they do. Fortunately, we have an opportunity to express our thanks to these employees for a job well done, a small token of the job they do each day. I can guarantee that the people that are receiving awards today will tell you that they were just doing their job and don't want the recognition. They also tell you that they don't want to be here. And they definitely don't want any photos taken, so take as many as you want. Tonight we recognize, in addition to the awards that the employees will be getting, they'll each receive a Chief's coin. Officer Christopher Moore, nearly 3 years of service, will be receiving the department's life-saving award. Unfortunately, Officer Palmquist is not here. He has 14 years of service, and he'll be receiving the life-saving award. Officer Derek Kelly, 15 years of service. Officer Kelly will be receiving the department's life-saving award. Detective Terry Casey, over 20 years of service. Detective Casey will be receiving the department's life-saving award and a department commendation. Officer Shaka, with 6 months of service, will be receiving the department's life-saving award. And Police Evidence Clerk Donnie Connor, with 12 years of service, will be receiving a special award from the Mayor of the City of Woodland, Mayor Finn. I'll give you a little taste of what these individuals have done. So on April 12th of last year, Officer Moore and Officer Gibbs responded to a domestic violence. When they got there, they assessed the situation. Oh, I should tell you that all of these officers were recommended by their first-line supervisors. Sergeant Lipp, Sergeant Keller, and Sergeant Gibbs were recommended these individuals for their awards. Officer Moore assessed the victim that was identified, and he recognized that a main artery, a brachial artery, was cut open and bleeding uncontrollably. Officer Moore did not hesitate to use his department-issued tourniquet and save the individual's life. All these life-saving situations were confirmed by the Clark County Cowlitz Fire and Rescue. Officer Kelly on, let's see, wrong page. On the 29th, Officer Kelly and Detective Casey responded to a situation on Sycamore Street for a reported unresponsive female. Officer Kelly and Officer Casey arrived and made contact with the occupants inside the residence. The female was found to be unconscious, not responding to any stimulus, and not breathing. Officer Casey immediately began performing CPR, and based on the information that they received, the female was taking marijuana along with alcohol and oxycodone. The apparent combination of the consumption caused the female to overdose. Based on the new information, Officer Kelly obtained his department-issued Narcan and administered it to the female. The female started to wake up after the Narcan was administered, along with a second dose of Narcan from the responding Clark Cowlitz Fire and Rescue personnel. Officer Shaka, on 6/11 of this year, responded to a collision and observed the female, later identified, appeared to have been having a seizure. They looked into the vehicle and found out that the evidence supported the consumption of opioids. Due to Shaka's quick reaction and confidence in his ability to administer the Narcan, the victim recovered quickly and was safely transported to the hospital without further incident. I'll also tell you that Officer Palmquist, through He's the one that took the biggest chance. He chased a female with an infant out onto the freeway. She was in a mental crisis, and saved her and the baby. And that happened in August of last year. So all of these officers took the time to save members of our community, and I think they should be commended. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Derek? Terry? And Christopher. One more award for Terry. And as you all know, we're going through a little bit of we went through a little bit of a manpower crisis. And because of Terry's selfless attitude towards our department and the citizens in the city of Woodland, I'll read this citation to him. Throughout the period of May 1st, 2021, through the present day and beyond, you distinguish yourself through your exemplary service and professional conduct. In the department's current manpower shortage and the coverage challenges, you voluntarily left the investigative division and went back to the patrol division to assist your department, while continuing to carry on your detective duties and field training officer duties. This award is a testament to your service to the city of Woodland, the Woodland Police Department, and its members. Your dedication and professionalism reveal the depth of your commitment to law enforcement, your department, and your community, and in keeping with the finest traditions of the Woodland Police Department. Thank you, Terry.
These are all life-saving bars, new decorations for their uniforms.
As well as a Chiefs coin. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. This is a small token of appreciation. So take photos. They like it.
Nice job. Nice job. Thank you very much. Good job, guys.
And I want to thank you all for being here and sitting through my long narrative.
You guys gonna take some photos real quick because they want? Yeah. Get together, boys, and smile. Pete, did you get some photos? Oh, you got them. Okay, great. All right. Let's go. All right.
You guys are off the hook just for a second.
Right, my turn. Very excited to be here this evening. Very excited. It's been a long time since we've been able to come and gather in this room. It feels wonderful to be back to normal for the most part. It was important to me that we recognize the Woodland Police Department this evening in our first official gathering as a city, because I know that it hasn't been easy through the pandemic, and there's a lot of things that you guys have encountered and had to deal with through the pandemic, and I thought it was important that once we came back together that you guys were the first ones to be recognized as city employees. So we appreciate you. Thank you. I do have a special award this evening, or recognition, I should say. But I've got a little history lesson to go over first. It's because what's a speech from the mayor without a history lesson, right? Yeah. So back in medieval times, we're gonna go back that far. Cities were defended and protected by walls, huge, robust walls on which guards would patrol from, where they would shoot down attackers. It was constructed of stone to protect the people of the city. If the attackers couldn't get in or scale the walls, they would do a hostile takeover of the perimeter of the city and attempt to starve the occupants into submission. This submission would ultimately allow the attackers to take control of the city. City walls were really important in those times. As time moved on, city walls became less important. When a successful son would return home, they were given a key to the city. This was a symbolic gesture representing the freedom given to the son to enter the city, and that he was accepted and honored. The people of the city did not fear this person as an enemy, but rather a member of the city who could be trusted. This developed into the freedom of a city, where you could walk around with a weapon and come and go as you please. This symbolic gesture morphed into celebrations of soldiers returning from a tour of duty, bearing arms, and bands playing, celebrities and athletes celebrating their victories. It allowed a community to come out and celebrate the great victory of the day. Today, the key is given to celebrate achievement. The gesture of giving a key to the city is an outward sign to the recipient and those in attendance to know this special individual is a friend of the city. The recipient is a defender of the values and goals of the city they serve. Tonight, it is my pleasure to give a key to the city to an extremely special individual. This person is a true friend and defender of our mission, vision, value, and goals. Not only does this individual represent our city on a daily basis through community engagement in a positive and helpful way, this person also lives it in their personal life. As mayor for the city of Woodland, I would like to recognize Mrs. Donna Connor with the Woodland Police Department and a citizen of Woodland. I'm not done yet, though. Go ahead and stand right here for me. Thanks. Donnie began her career with the City of Woodland on August 9th, 2009. She strives daily to achieve the mission and vision of the Woodland Police Department. She also embodies the Woodland Police Department's values: professionalism, leadership, respect, integrity, and accountability. Donnie is a constant reminder of what it means to serve, whether it is through her professional daily work and coordinating events with Lower Columbia Safe Kids or coordinating our local Shop with a Cop program. In her personal life as a Woodland resident, Donnie can be seen assisting local efforts to help raise awareness. Each year, Donnie is a staple in helping with donations and stuffing of over 300 stockings for our community's youth. This year, even with the COVID pandemic, Donnie was able to help coordinate with the Port of Woodland to have a memorial erected to honor a member of our community who drowned in the Columbia River. The memorial not only recognizes the life lost, but allows others the opportunity to borrow a life jacket while swimming in hopes to prevent a tragic accident in the future. This obviously is not all that Donnie does for us, but a small snapshot of some of the things that she does for our community. I don't get to give these out very often. I'm very excited tonight. I don't know that there's been an employee in the City of Woodland that's received a key. So hopefully, through my research, you're the only one that I'm aware of. So Donnie, let this key be assigned to you and everyone in attendance that you are a friend and defender of our great city. May this key be a constant reminder that your work with the city and your professional and personal achievements do not go without notice. We appreciate you more than words can say and want you to know we are a better community because of your efforts. It is with great appreciation I present to you our advocate, our hero, our citizen, and our friend with this key to the city. You bet. I also have this for you too. Here you go. It gets you nowhere. You can try it. They don't even give me one.
So real quick before we break up, I know I say this to you guys often, but I guess this time I really mean it. I appreciate what you do. I know it's difficult for you to go out and stay motivated to do your job every day, especially with the challenges faced in this last legislative session. But I challenge all of you to remember why you got into the business. No matter the adversity, no matter the challenges that we face, let's move forward, keep Woodland safe, and keep each other safe. Work hard, take care of business, and prove to the community why they embrace you now. because it happens on a daily basis. Not a day doesn't go by that I don't hear from somebody that tells me what a fantastic job individuals in uniform and individuals in the office are doing. We have a reputation to uphold. These awards make us strong, but we were strong without it. So let's continue to move forward, keep Woodland safe, and keep each other safe, and go home to this beautiful family that is sitting right here. Thanks, you guys. We're all
Thank you. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. All right, we're going to go ahead and take an 11-minute break, unless everyone was planning on staying for the meeting. They're already leaving. All right.
Yeah.
Make sure you get some snacks out there, some sweets. Somebody pocketed a cookie.
Pocket snacks for the road.
Absolutely. He delivered. It was too structured. It was too structured.
People can, put videos of themselves.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
Anthony says we can't, but we can.
You could at least one cut out a Waldo out there.
I'm just waiting for it to hit 7:30 so we can start. And it's not coming fast enough.
7:32.
I've only got 7:29 on my clock.
Do I need to threaten it?
No, yes, now.
I told him to hook it up. I gave him a March number.
I need you to, it's 7:30, back in session. Welcome, once again, everyone. I just need you to, if there's an agenda item needs to be, I can't do that.
So I need to make a motion that.
When we get to that point.
Yes.
When we get to that point.
To approve.
All right, we've come to the portion for citizen communications for items not on the agenda, and I have no one signed up. Yeah, no one online.
Wait, in the back, wait, somebody in the back.
We are now moving on to citizen communications for items on the agenda. I have no one signed up and no one online. Moving on to agenda approval.
Yeah, before we make any motions to approve the agenda, I'd like to make a motion to add an executive session to discuss potential litigation.
Second.
For 30 minutes?
I would say 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
We can extend it if need.
Okay. Motion on the floor by Mr. Plaza. Okay, sorry, Councilmember Plaza. Second by Councilmember Fredericks, to add an executive session regarding potential litigation. I don't have the RCW in front of me.
It's RCW 42-30-110-1I. And I also would add discussion with legal counsel about legal risk of current or proposed action, which is the same code.
Okay, perfect. The time is now 7:31. We'll be in executive session. Oh, yeah, sorry, gosh. It has been a very long time.
Everybody else working, we're not.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Hall.
Just waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we could get started. We don't need them, right? We don't need the talkers.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Oh, wow. Does that count, Gina?
Well, you can go second it.
Well, there's four people in here. Feel free to second, anyone.
I'll second.
Ooh. Motion on the floor to, does this count? We're still in session, right?
Gotta take a
Well,
vote.
motion by Mr. Smith to approve the agenda, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Mrs. Anderson. Hey, it's not my fault they're stalling. We never said we were taking a break.
Don't forget 4-0 here.
Oh, I got him. Hold on a second. And the meeting's been adjourned. Thank you, everybody. No, just kidding. Motion on the floor to approve the agenda by Mr. Smith and seconded by Councilmember Rounds.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
The agenda's been approved. Reports of City Council this evening. Mr. Fredericks. Did you say you had a report?
I don't have a report.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry. I thought you said me.
I just want to let everyone know that I really enjoyed the fireworks for July 4th. Not so much on July 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 6th, and 3rd. Forgot the 3rd. But it was a beautiful celebration of fireworks in my neighborhood for a week. So, but I really enjoyed the July 4th fireworks. So thank you all, and if we could stop now, that would be great. I'm trying to sleep at 11 o'clock
I believe
at
the
night.
code states that they had until midnight on the 4th and it was over.
Yeah, it seems to be enforced real well. But that's it. That's my only report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Mrs. Holland.
so last week I attended the AWC conference. It was all online. I think Mr. Boyce attended that as well. So there were a lot of webinars and learning opportunities. I just wanted to throw that out there because I almost forgot to register.
Nice.
But I remembered like the day before, so.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Fredericks.
Do you know, Mr. Boyce, is that coming back to where we can actually go to those?
Hopefully next year.
I have not heard yet, but
It'd be January, February?
Association is planning a face-to-face get-together soon.
I highly encourage, if you have the opportunity to go, I highly encourage you to go. It's pretty good to I guess, fellowship, you could use the word, with other members of councils in other areas around the state. And also, there's vendors that participate in this too, and it's in workshops, right? I encourage you to go. I've been to one or two of them, and I've always taken away something from them. So I encourage you to attend if you get the opportunity to.
Thank you, Mr. Fredericks. All right, seeing no one else, reports of standing committee, public safety.
That would be me.
Mr. Plaza.
Okay, we met this afternoon at 5:30 here at the police department, and we didn't have any really new business to discuss. However, we continued a discussion from our May 17th meeting where we discussed the Lower Columbia SWAT interagency agreement, which we are going to be bringing to the committee or the council, I believe, next agenda, not agenda, but next committee meeting, in order to discuss moving forward with that. And the Public Safety Committee is suggesting a pass, or not a pass, but a approval on that.
We'll get the big black truck.
What?
We'll get the big black truck.
Something like that, yeah. When needed,
Yeah, I
when
like the
needed.
big black truck. The big black truck's nice.
And the fire department also spoke a little bit about fire safety, sprinklers in the home type stuff, which we will also be talking about here, I believe, next city council meeting. So stand by to find out more.
I didn't know.
And our next meeting, I believe, will be on August 2nd, 2021 at 5:30 p.m.
I knew the fire sprinklers were coming at some point. Started at the last meeting. I just got ahead of myself a little bit.
Look at that, he's so mad right now.
Mayor Pro Temp needs a raise.
Councilmember Rounds, Public Works.
Thank you. We had a meeting at 5:30 today. On water, the Scott Hill Booster Station project startup and process training to occur this month.
in July and ready for Scott Hill to tie in. Cross Connection Program, we're up to date on Cross Connections. On the water reservoir, both reservoirs have been washed. And on sewer, with the hot weather that we had, the crews were out on Saturday and Sunday putting up pop-ups at all the stations because the heat was causing them, all of them, to go off. So they worked real hard to get those all done. And streets miscellaneous, contacted the state, and the curbing in the road between Gilligan's Island and the Visitor Center on Gorig will be removed and replaced for more appealing aesthetics. They're working on that this week. Started repairs on Gorig. Lakeside will be repaving on the 8th. Police station, mowed and trimmed some of the hedges, have more weed eating to be done and bark to be spread. 100 Davidson temporary renters are in and enjoying the space. Parking lots and general overall facilities started mowing for the year-round, all facilities and spraying included. Looking to have ready, the community center, they're looking to have ready to rent out very soon.
Okay.
Parks, Horseshoe Lake pump replacement started in July, mid-July, and will finish in October. Roundabout, the Kiwanis group did an amazing job on the roundabout, ordered a sign for recognition. We'll have people put it up when received. Safety meeting on schedule, monthly as planned, heat exhaustion, and proper lifting last topics. In grants, one grant application to Jamie Herrera's office for $11.5 million was submitted. Grant application to Patty Murray's office in June for $2.5 million. Submitting the raise grant application by the 12th of July for $15 million.
Those are all for
Yes. And on Federal Highway Crossing Program, a grant was awarded on 5-4, and Rural County Public Facility Fund application awarded $500K on 4-1.
Perfect.
That's my report. The next meeting will be August the 6th. Well, no,
Second.
August, in August,
Second.
at 5:30.
Questions for Mrs. Rounds? Mr. Chapman?
Chief Coleman's off.
Yeah, she's out today.
Okay. Well, I can pass on here. The project on Gorig Street, I think they're doing a wonderful job. And the only thing I think would make it go better if people pay attention to the flaggers, and watch the flaggers instead of trying to do their own thing. Traffic will move a lot smoother through there. But I think they're doing a wonderful job through there. It's passed the word. People pay attention to the flaggers, and traffic will get through it a whole lot easier. So.
And it looks like, so it's starting July 8th is the Lake Shore?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that folks are going to be impacted that
And
whole
I think they're going to
section.
do it in the evening, is
Oh,
what
okay.
I understand. Isn't that right, Monty? Yes.
Okay, good.
So
Okay.
they're going to try to do it in the evening.
Tracy was out, so I didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to talk to her today. What's that? Okay. All right, well, you'll deal with those complaints on the 19th. Again, you're welcome. It's Mrs. Rounds, Council of Governments?
I have not
Okay.
been to a meeting yet. Do we know, are they going to start meeting in person?
I have not heard yet.
You haven't heard yet? Okay.
I'll find out.
Okay.
And then Mrs. Graham is out for the Chamber and DWR. Do you have anything to report for Chamber?
I will say that they are meeting weekly at
Okay.
Casa Tapatia's on Tuesdays. And the golf tournament is coming up August the 20th. So
20th.
anyone interested in golfing, please sign up.
All right, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm going to try and make that one. Moving on to reports of officers, city officers. So, as Mr. Fredericks indicated, fireworks. So, obviously, this was a big topic of conversation over the last few weeks. And so I wanted to facilitate a conversation with council this evening. So one of the things that some community members asked us to do was to ban fireworks within the city limits of Woodland. I did message out some information to all council, if you received that in your email, on why we were unable to do that, and that we were monitoring the situation. Clark County was able to do that due to the fact that they changed their code a number of years ago to allow them the opportunity to do that. We don't have that opportunity, therefore it probably would have resulted in some kind of lawsuit, I'm sure, by some folks by doing that. So I guess my question for council, I think that things went well. I think that I believe we changed the rules a few years ago and shortened the time frame for fireworks to be discharged within the city to the 4th, or the 1st to the 4th. Does council want to have a discussion about fireworks and would like policy brought forward to change our current policy? Mr. Plaza.
I'm only one person, and I think I've made it clear several times that I would find it extremely ironic to have government-imposed restrictions on the citizens on a date that we freed ourselves from tyranny. So my vote, or my opinion, would be to no. Leave it as it is, it's fine. All it takes is a little common sense, and we don't need to get into people's business.
And from the city standpoint, that was we pushed out safety messages from City Hall saying, hey, there's discharging, please use common sense, make sure you use safe practices, and make sure there's water. And just as of note, because of the way the law is written too, if there are any changes that council wants to our current code, they will not take effect till 2023.
Oh, also.
But we didn't have any big problems, did we?
We had one small fire.
Yeah, I was about to say that. We asked Chief Jackson during the public safety meeting today if there were any fireworks-related issues on the 4th, and there was just one small brush fire near the freeway, and that was it. So I think, considering the amount of fireworks that were set off this year,
there was lots.
that people, were actually pretty smart about taking safety precautions and doing what they needed to do. And so, yeah.
Mr. Fredericks. I'll take that one though, just in case. Mr. Fredericks.
Well, I agree with Mr. Plaza. I think there should be fireworks on July 4th. I'm okay with July 4th. I'm okay with New Year's Eve. I think people should be able to celebrate. I don't think it's appropriate that we celebrate the first 3 days of July, nor do I think we should be celebrating July 5th. So I would like to look at it, and I also think that there should be something in there that does allow the executive branch of government in a certain, when you have 115-degree weather, the ability to be able to make that decision. To be able to say, you know what, here's what I want to do, because obviously you can provide us a state of emergency for COVID. You can provide us a state of emergency for fireworks. I would think the same thing would be allowed, but I think that should be done with restraint, with the understanding that the mayor, in this case, is not the king. It should be done with restraint when you have that type of power, but I think there's common sense legislation that could be adopted that says that you could have, the mayor could have a say in it, provided that it's not overreaching. And if the council determines that it is overreaching, they can change the law. You might have a mayor who maybe gets in there, maybe like someone like myself, who just doesn't want fireworks on the 3rd. So I think it should be looked at, but I am a lame duck on this body, and I have very little time left here, but I'm going to share my opinion until the last day I'm here. So that's what I would do. I think it's common sense, but I understand their strong opinions, and I appreciate those opinions because I agree with the statement. I just think we ought to have some common sense about fireworks.
Can I just?
Yeah, Mrs. Holland.
I have to agree, as far as like general public safety, and Councilmember Fredericks is mentioning common sense, and we can't get people to use common sense to go through a freaking roundabout. So I'm not sure that expecting common sense is a thing.
Common sense ain't so common.
Right, and I think like with Clark County, with their approach was, it was by advice of the fire department, which is who would oversee all of that. So I would think that that might be something, if we're going to look at that, that it would be done similarly, in a similar fashion, where by the advice of the fire department. I mean, really, we all know every year on 4th of July, it's windy. It's crazy windy every 4th of July. And this year was not an exception. And y'all are just dying today.
I know. It's all the crap flying in the air.
So, but, and I am not against fireworks in any way, shape, or form. Anybody who is in a different neighborhood and looks towards my area, you would notice that I pretty much live with a pyrotechnician when it comes to 4th of July. This year we chose not to because of, one, the wind, and two, we noticed all the really big 100-year-old trees around our house, and people's landscaping were literally burned. Like, they were red. People's rhododendron bushes were burnt from the heat. So we chose not to set off any fireworks. But I think when it comes to public safety, though, I think this would be one of those things that would fall under public safety. And who's to say that 115-degree weather is going to be a normal thing? I mean, I remember when I was a little kid here, we had some pretty hot ones, but then it was like 20 years later, then it was another 100 years, or 100 degrees, so, anywho. And I have to say, I don't disagree with, why are we celebrating every stinking day the first week of July?
Because we're excited.
It's...
America.
Well, and the thing is like when it sets off your neighbor's dog, it's like, seriously, we got a whole week of freaking out the neighbor's dogs for no good reason, just because somebody wants to, throw a mortar at 1 in the morning, just because. But, anywho, again, common sense. So, that's all.
Also, there's nothing really that prevents a special meeting to be called by either the mayor or the city council to address any issue. And a special meeting could have been called by either party. There's a process for that allows for us to be able to take a position. Is that correct? If the city council came back and told us that I think if 1 or 2 members of council can request a special meeting, there's a process for that. I think in our rules, we could have addressed them. I had 0 emails in my inbox regarding fireworks safety. Maybe they all went to you.
Oh, they did.
You're the mayor. You're the executive branch of government. You're the one that,
with no power.
Yeah, well, but we do have the ability to meet and say, hey, we think some special action should be taken given the fact that there's some concern with public safety in this instance. I don't know if we have the ability to do that because firework takes a year to implement. I don't know if you have the ability to pop in and say, yeah, you don't. But again, we ought to be able to write that in an ordinance and allow for some process. And again, there's 2 days of the year I think we should blow fireworks off. All day, all night if we want. Start at 7 in the morning and go until 11:59.
To be honest with you, I thought for sure there was going to be a line of people out the door today.
Not
But
to the fact that it doesn't matter what we say. We can say we want it to be July 4th. You know as well as I know, being a former police officer, that if you get a call for someone that is lighting fireworks on the 3rd of July, how likely is it going to be that you're actually going to respond to that call? Right.
And how quiet is that in my house?
Okay, great. Mr. Smith?
I'm open to review any of it. But at the end of the day, I think people are going to break the rules whether you say you can't do fireworks or not. So you can ban them all you want, but people are still going to do them. And I'm wondering how many were shut off in Clark County.
Well, I will tell you that the nonprofits that hold a permit for fireworks here in Woodland did extremely well this year.
Yeah. So we ban them in Cowlitz County, and they'll just move down the line and keep finding them and set them off. I guess who's responsible if you do start a fire? Even if you did ban them, the person who starts a fire with fireworks is going to be responsible. And if you ban them, they're still going to be responsible. Or don't ban them, they'll still be responsible. So it doesn't change much, I don't think.
Okay.
So if I'm sitting in your shoes, did you get an answer to
I
your
did.
question?
I did. Yeah. I did. You did? Are you not at the meeting?
Are we all saying that we want a review of it? Is that what we're saying? Three.
There's,
That's what I'm
for the
doing
safety
now.
aspect.
Three, Janice. It's two. Mr. Chapman?
You need to have a majority.
Mr. Chapman?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think everybody has the right to, I don't think we should infringe on
So
it.
don't review the existing ordinance. All right, well, there you have it.
Mrs. Rounds?
3-3.
I agree with Plaza and Chapman.
So there, you got a split council. Ask Janice.
Oh. I don't get to decide today?
No.
We're not voting on anything.
Oh, we're not voting on anything. Well, I can just provide my opinion. I agree with Mrs. Rounds, Mr. Chapman, and Mr. Plaza. But I'll ask Mrs. Rounds. All right, moving on. Go-to meeting. So we still have this that we're up and running. Does council want to continue hosting these during our regular meetings?
No, we don't have to.
I'd say no, because I don't think they're that well attended to start with, and it's a pain.
Okay.
How much do we pay for that service? Do we know?
Do we pay anything? No, because we have an account.
There's a fee per account, we have 2 accounts, so
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up.
no, yeah, I don't. I'm with Mrs. Reynolds on that one. We're wasting our money on
Okay.
it. We can't get them in the seats anymore.
Right, well, here's the thing, and this one's kind of been a burr in my butt the last week, considering everybody likes to have their legislative conversations apparently on Facebook, and I'm not against that, because I'm
My Bible.
that person, but there is no one in this room, not one resident of Woodland took the time out of their life to come down here and find out what we're doing. There is not one, there is one person.
Well, we have 2, but one's a staff member, but we have 1 citizen online.
Is it Joe?
Yeah.
Of course it is. So this, one of the people that kind of took up that position after I stopped sitting back there and got to sit up here, he now attends everything. So you have how many people in this town? Like 7,000 some odd people that live inside city limits. One person in this community took the time to log in and participate. No one is in this room. We've went above and beyond to make it available so that people can stay at home, stay safe, yada yada. Staff members were able to run all kinds of committee meetings. I attended tons from my bed, from a spare bedroom, from work, from the parking lot, from the Burgerville parking lot. I mean, I'm down. I think it's the greatest thing ever for me personally. But to pay for it so that people in the community can participate, no. For a convenience factor when somebody's on vacation, they're sick, that's an amazing tool right there so that they can participate in the process and not make anybody else sick, yet whatever. But It's absolutely blows my mind that cameras, there's YouTube, there's this, the doors are open, not a damn person here, but they got a whole lot to say about what should be happening, who isn't doing what they think should be done, and ain't nobody here. I'm also gonna say, just because I'm fired up, that when the mayor goes to buy snacks at the Walmart is not the time to corner the man and give him your dressing down of what you think should be happening in the city. And I know this because I walked by the poor man and he could not escape people in the Walmart. That is not the time nor the place for it. Yes, he's a friendly guy and he'll stand there and talk to you, but that is not the place. This is the place. There is a sign-up sheet outside for people to put their name on so that they're allotted 5 minutes to address every single person here and every department head. You get to stand there in front of the podium and talk. Walmart is not the place to have your conversations about potholes. You come in here and act like a grown-up and participate in the process. If you cannot participate in the process, keep your mouth shut. You get a ballot every November. If you don't like it, vote for somebody else. But seriously, not one person is ever in this building. Blows my mind. I could do it. I apparently did it for 4 or 5 years. I made time every single Monday that there was a meeting to come. Crazy, I know. Anyway.
Thank you, Mrs.
So
Hall.
yeah, there you go.
And I will report that Mrs. Hall did try to save me by having me called over the intercom. Out of the dairy section, but they never called me to the front of
No,
the store.
I could not get a clerk on board to do that. I
We need to
tried.
save him. Call him over the intercom. Yeah, it would have been a welcomed
Reprieve.
page. Yeah, thank you. So, anyone else? Mr. Fredericks, yes? I've heard from a couple.
I do think it's entirely appropriate to corner the mayor anywhere you'd like in Woodland for many hours at a time, if that's what you desire. No, this kind of reminds me of the form of government that we have in the United States is a representative democracy, which means the folks really hire us to do the work. We dig into the details. We vote on behalf of the citizens on what we think is best for this community. And that's what we have. Unfortunately, you can have an engaged group of citizenry, or you can have a citizenry that thinks you're doing a fabulous job. And I think that's what we have. We must be doing something right. Nobody's here. The only time I've noticed that they're here is when you have something that they don't like. Then they're here. So it's NIMBY, not in my backyard. You've heard of this before? Then they'll be here. But that's the kind of government we have. And it's a beautiful government, I think. Because if you know what? If you make enough wrong choices, enough wrong votes, you don't get reelected. You get tossed out on the curb, and someone else will do your job for you. And that's the beautiful thing about the system that we have, is that you can get tossed out, and you can get reelected. And if you want to come here, it's great. I've seen some recent school board meetings back east that I love it. I think they're great. I wish we had some of that here. I'd like to see some people actively engaged and involved in what we're doing. And I'm personally, the go-to meeting I think is kind of a cop-out. Come here, come see us, come be a part of the process. It's okay if you're the only one. Miss Holland did it for a long time. She was the only one. So come. I think you'll learn about the inner workings of a city, and it's interesting. It's I remember when I first joined this body, it was a lot more. Miss Anderson was here. It was a lot more contentious, but we learned a lot, and we fixed a lot of things, and we learned things the hard way, and we've gotten better because of it. But that's the way this works. It's not a perfect system, but it does require some involvement from the citizenry. And unfortunately, I think we have a lot of citizens who make a lot of their decisions based upon the voter's guide, or their local Facebook. I don't know what that Voice of Woodland 7, Woodland Community Chat 5. I'm just, there's so many of them that I don't even pay attention anymore. I don't read them. I don't make policy decisions based upon them. So I don't see it. So if you think we're watching that, we're not. But feel free to send me an email, fredericksb@ci.woodland.wa.us. That's all. Get rid of the Zoom.
That's 4. I think I got my direction. Mr. Boyce.
I'm going to keep it short tonight. So, the main thing I wanted to let people know is that City Hall is now open to the public.
Good.
The doors unlocked. And we do have some new folks up front. We're going through some transitions, so I want everyone to provide as much patience as they can. Doing their best to serve, and it's exciting to see people. So just want to let everyone know that. Other than that, we have Planning Commission July 15th. We'll start adding August 20th for the Chamber Golf Team on the list. And I think the only other thing I wanted to mention was Mr. Goddard helped us out. We had a report that our flag was ripped on top of City Hall. Mr. Goddard took it upon himself to walk up to the VFW, and good folks there donated the flag. He walked down to True Value. They donated the use of a ladder. Scott Summers got the flag out. So you don't want to rip flag on the board.
No, for sure.
Good.
Just want to make sure everyone.
Way to be proactive, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people stepped up to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Ryan.
you.
You're the best. Well, Scott from Public Works put it up. Thank you, Scott.
Must not have been a hockey game that time. No hockey going on that time. You had free time to watch.
I asked that we keep the standard format as we've been doing, and the department heads will start reporting back on the first meeting in August, so you'll start hearing from them again. Except for this evening, I have asked Mr. Goddard to give a quick report, just because there is so much going on over at City Hall and what he's doing over there, that I'd like him to report to council.
Now?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow's fine.
So you have on your desk today, and it'll be emailed tomorrow and be available on the web tomorrow, the second quarter report for community development. I apologize, the versions I printed tonight says first quarter, but it is the second quarter report. So our permitting, building and planning wise, is pretty close to what we were doing last year, which is down from the previous year. But part of that is a function of we were so busy in 2018 and 19. Those projects are starting to kick in construction. So our permitting is pretty steady. So I think we're doing okay. Budget-wise, it looks like we're on target for what we're looking at this year. We have a lot of preliminary or pre-application conferences. We're actually up for this year, so it looks like we might have some additional projects at the end of this year and into next year. So that looks good because it shows we're busy. There is one new section. There is one new section that was added because of kind of reorganization at City Hall. I have been asked to assume some additional duties, including IT work, looking at licenses, the website, and helping get the minor billing going with Tracy. And so I have a mock-up of our new website, so if you're so interested before you leave tonight, I can show you what that looks like. But it's just a screenshot, and it looks very much like Kenai, Alaskan. So if you're so inclined to take a look,
Our current website has a lot of scrolling, and there's about 100 places where you click and make choices, and it's not always intuitive where to find stuff on our website. If you look at Kenai, Alaska, and also Henrietta, New York, you'll get a real flavor for what our website is going to look like. We have a little bit of scroll, but it's going to be really easy to find your way to meetings and agendas. We'll have news that's easy to find, and we'll basically have what are essentially 7 clickable links for pop-up menus, so it will be multiple paths to find your way to paying your bills or finding applications or finding additional information, how to contact staff and the city council, how our government is organized. It will be really friendly and intuitive, and that should be hopefully, they estimated by October. I'm hoping by August that it will be up. They specifically said, okay, they'll take 2 weeks and they'll give it to us and we'll have 2 weeks to get back to them. Friday, we had the mock-up version come in, and we specifically responded to them that day, so we're cutting 2 days off of this process by being responsive to them. So we should start seeing some progress on that going forward. And then the other duty that I was asked to pick up are the public records section, and because it is the first time to discuss this, there's about 2.5 to 3 pages in my community development quarterly report, and I'm kind of reporting on the activity last year compared to the activity this year, and you'll see that our public records requests are going up. They're about 20% higher this year than they were last year, and a primary function of that is we've had multiple requests from ex-employees, and so that's kind of an additional workload that didn't exist before. But I think what's important here is I give a little bit of background, and that is Washington State Open Public Meetings Act and Public Records Act. Basically, they're designed to ensure that the citizens have the right to know exactly what their government is doing, what decisions they're making, what information they're using to make their decision. So essentially, it is an open book, and every citizen has the right to request whatever record they want. And so it involves a potential a lot of work, and some of these can take half an hour, and some of them can take 20 hours or more. It all depends on how these requests are worded, and so it can either be something quick and responsive, and other times they can be daunting and challenging to try and fill these requests. So as you read through there, if you have questions, feel free to give me a call and ask me those questions. I'm now officially the Public Records Officer for the City of Woodland, and so I'm working on training some additional departments and staff to also be able to respond to a lot of those. But it's kind of specialized work, and it's really important work.
So Open Public Meetings Act, well, I'm sorry, strike that. Requests for information are also public record, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if I make a request for information, that's public. It's a public records request. So I'm looking on here, there is an individual that appears to be a former city employee by the name of Mary Ribb, who has filed 13 public records requests. How many documents is that, roughly?
So that is a difficult question because we're still working through several of them. One of them, and this also can be deceiving because one of them was a request for chat communications through Microsoft Teams, and there is no efficient way to download those. So we contacted Nextwork, who was our IT provider, and they did their best to try and download those chats. And they could not find anything either, so they contacted Microsoft. And Microsoft is a brand new product that just came out, like literally, I think it was a month or two before the pandemic. And so they didn't actually have the software built in for them to be able to produce those documents. So in response to our request, Microsoft took action and they went in and basically created a way to export those. And unfortunately, if you're familiar with text chats or Microsoft Teams, each one of those responses came out as a time, date, and stamped message. So what was essentially 6 months worth of texting or chatting on Microsoft Teams appears to be 22,000 individual files and records requests. So I can say that yes, we produced almost 22,000 documents, but probably 21,000 of those were just from that one request. So number doesn't necessarily mean quantity, because each one of those documents, you have to open it one at a time, and it might only be 6 words. It might be good night, response by good night, response by good night. So there's 3 text messages right there. So over 180 days, 3 good nights, 3 good mornings, you're probably talking just 1,000 of those alone are good morning and good night.
And how much time has been, because
So that is a good question. Included in your report is not only our list of requests and date this year, but also the 2020 report, and even it's what's called the JLARC report for the legislature, and it includes all of the metrics that we estimated. So in 2020, we had approximately, actually 101, and total estimated hours was, metric number 10 was estimated at 303 hours, and the total cost estimated was about $25,000 in 2020. And unfortunately, 2021 is going to be a much bigger number than that, because the typical request might be an insurance company, we got a claim for a car accident, and we are requesting the accident report for the intersection of X and X and accident by driver B. So the police department might be able to pull that, send that in 20 minutes. Whereas some of these other ones, like this chat one, by the time staff did the research and we experimented and tried to figure out how to get these chats out, send it to Next Works spends time. We send it to Microsoft spends time, and then by the time we get back these 21,000 records for that particular one, that one I might have spent 16 hours on. So average might be anywhere between half an hour and 16 hours. So this year I think we're going to be closer to double it, triple or quadruple that number this year.
And then I'm going to give this report back to you because I don't want to, I think we should all give it back to you. There is somebody's name and social security number that is listed on here, and I'm pretty sensitive about that.
Oh, is
so,
there? Oh, okay.
yes, so on line 38, has their date of birth and social security number. So I'm going to give this back to you because I do not want to be in possession of somebody's personal information.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to give this back, but I appreciate the report, and again, from my standpoint, I find it very concerning, the amount of public records requests. And there may be, certainly I'm not questioning the validity of those, but it seems to be an issue. I've been on the city council in the city of Woodland for, I don't know, 12, 13 years. I think I've done 2 public records requests with the city of Woodland because I couldn't get the information out of the executive branch of government. And I did 1 in the city of Kelso, so I've done 3. At all 3 of those, where I was trying to make a good policy decision on behalf of the folks that I represent, so I was trying to get a good picture of that information. So I think we just need to be careful. My hope is that citizens, non-citizens, wherever you're at, if you're doing public records requests, that use some judgment on whether or not that that information that you, I mean, it's free. The state of Washington, you get the information is yours to get. So I don't think anybody's trying to hide anything, but just be like, do you really need that? The information that I needed at the time, I thought I really needed it to make an informed decision. And it helped me form my decision. So I felt like it was, I guess everyone has their own feeling on what is, I want that information. And it's certainly something that I think is a good thing in our state, but I do think that there is it is ripe for abuse, so to speak, because I've seen it throughout the entire time I've here. There has been abuse by folks out there that are requesting gobs and gobs of information. And sometimes I think they request information in the hopes to try to trip you up in the process, which can create an issue for you. Judges have found where cities did not comply, and you've been fined $1 a page for every day you didn't get documents back because you didn't follow the process. So, I don't know. I just think it's something that's concerning.
I think it's just a factor in terms of this is how it is.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Which is why last year when we were in Olympia, no one would take paper.
Right. I don't even really like to be called by anybody from the city. I hate being emailed, even through, I just don't like it. I'd rather just do my business here. I'll talk to you at the city council meeting. We'll get it out then. It's just easier that way.
Maybe I missed it. Are you guys actually documenting how much time it takes so that there can be a cost associated for all of the foolishness happening currently?
So we are, since I've started doing it, I have started keeping track of my time separately.
Okay.
Because it is a new duty, it's easy for me to do that. But not all employees are, because it's a normal part of their duty. So for example, the police department, when they get a request for an accident report, they may not spend enough time in it warrants creating that infrastructure. Or they may already have been doing that for years, in which case they haven't necessarily made any changes. So we are trying to keep track of that because it is a reportable item for the state.
Okay. Thank you.
But this year was mostly just a wild guess estimate based on my best estimate.
Gotcha.
Mr. Smith?
I know there was talk in the past about hiring somebody to be able to do filing and this stuff. Is this something that I guess is going to overload you guys to where maybe we need to look at that in the future?
So that is a really good question. We are currently down a temporary employee because of our resignations. So we are working on trying to fill that void. And this is a new duty to me, so if you're asking if there's other work that I am not getting done because of this duty, the answer to that is yes. Is it work that has to be done? That's debatable. Whereas this work is important and it has to be done in a timely manner. In a way, it's an opportunity for the public to force government to do the work that they think is important. But as Mr. Fredericks brought up, and that is it really so important that it needs to be done instead of discussions about housing and other kinds of issues like that? But that's difficult, and I'm doing the best we can with the resources that we have.
You're trying to adhere to the law.
Following the spirit of the law, it's a tough thing because you want to do right and you want to get the documents out, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, and I think the challenge is, what I'd like to do is we could just invoice the state. That'd be great. Just shoot them even if they just cover a quarter of it, I'd be happy with that. Something tells me that probably isn't going to get paid, but it would be fun.
In pennies.
In pennies. Any other questions for Mr. Goddard this evening?
I appreciate what you do, Mr. Goddard. Thank you for being here.
All right, seeing none, moving on to consent items.
Move to approve the consent items A, B, and C.
Moved by Councilmember Frederick, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Mrs. Anderson?
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
All right, the consent items have passed. Moving on to the action item, there's no letters. There's no letter. Let's see.
For many years, they've been doing great, and tonight they just opted out. No letters.
No. Number one, action item number one this evening. Authorize Mayor to sign an agreement with Columbia River Carbonates, Inc. concerning industrial discharge.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Holland, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Holland.
No comments.
Councilmember Plaza.
Yeah, if I read this right, it sounds like, what's the name of the place? Columbia River Carbonates aren't using the sewer in a way that justifies what they're being charged now, and so this will just bring them down to what should have been charged in the first place, so not a big deal.
Mr. Smith?
They're using more water and not disposing to the sewer system, so they're not overrunning our sewer system, so it's to compensate that and balance it out.
Mr. Fredericks?
How is this different than the previous arrangement?
It's,
Mr. Boyce.
it's really the same arrangement, although we're talking about a new location. So the new building they built across Pekin is covered.
So are we going to see an increase in our water revenue, a decrease in our water revenue, an increase in our sewer revenue, or a decrease in the sewer revenue? What are we going to see from this?
So they are paying for water, and they're using more water because they have the additional facility. We just won't see that same increase in sewer fees.
Do we have an idea on an annual basis what impact this is going to have to the sewer revenue fund?
Well, that's a good question. So, Public Works Director ran the numbers, and the
Is that what this,
long and short of it
is that what this spreadsheet is telling me here, that I don't know what she's telling me?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of deciphering, but the long and short of it is, there is not going to be additional sewer fees that come forward on this new facility. So it's still running at the status quo. The justification is there isn't sewage being treated and, run through the system. That's the justification for the
So there will be no decrease then in the current sewer revenue that because we're not getting it currently, or we are getting it currently and now we're not going to be getting it in the future?
There have been a couple billing cycles with sewer attached to this facility. So that would not continue if City Council adopts.
Okay, but you can't tell me how much revenue, total dollars, are going to be lost by that. Okay. Okay. So there is a cost on this item. It's not a cost, it's just a loss of revenue. There's no, we're going to lose revenue that, in essence, we shouldn't be collecting anyway because they're not putting any sewer, so this is the right thing to do.
This is a friendly thing to do.
If only I could figure out how to do that at my house.
Mr. Smith?
This revenue wasn't budgeted for, I'm assuming.
No.
Okay. So it's just, trying to think of the right words, it's just, we're not gonna have a loss on the sewer funds. It's just gonna be increase on the water. That's,
There's an increase on the water. There's no additional wear and tear on the sewer plant from this facility
Okay.
as the discharge water is being used up in the process.
and there's been a couple months where we have gotten paid from it, but,
Yes.
okay. All right.
Are we issuing a credit on that?
No.
Councilmember Rounds?
I was just going to say, if the water's not going into the sewer system, it's not taxing the sewer system, so it is the right thing to do.
Anything further? Mr. Smith?
What's the line item at the bottom highlighted there? April 15th to June 15th corrected CF, 15,272. Is that credited to them, or is that, it's kind of a weird spreadsheet, so.
CF is cubic feet. I believe there was a misreading from the meter readers, and that, I believe, indicates that's the
Okay.
water flow.
Oh, this here because it's red line. All right, seeing nothing else. Action item number 1. Authorize mayor to sign agreement with Columbia River Carbonates, Inc. concerning industrial discharge.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
All right, the motion is passed. Moving on to number 2. Budget, action item number 2, budget amendment for dock removal at Horseshoe Lake Park.
I make a motion to approve budget item number 2, budget amendment for dock removal at Horseshoe Lake Park.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Rounds, seconded by Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Rounds.
Well, I think for safety reasons, it needed to be removed, and so we had to do it.
Councilmember Smith.
That's what I was hearing, is that kids were making it dangerous, and it had to be removed immediately so that people did not get hurt on the dock.
I should say parents.
It is.
And I think this fee that is on there is for rental equipment
Yes.
to get the dock removed.
Yeah.
I would like to chime in, but I'm waiting for Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we'll wait for the mayor to
We
come
lost
back.
the mayor.
I mean, and
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, step up for
Okay, should I just go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Herb should
Okay.
have come aboard.
He's just a figurehead anyway, we run the place.
That is true. That is true. Question, this is what I heard, so take it with a grain of salt. Was the dock donated by a private entity?
No.
No.
The city paid a little over $10,000.
Oh, so it is a city-owned dock?
It is.
Okay, that's all I need.
Mr. Fredericks.
okay. So, question that I would have is, what's the current signage over there? I've been over there a long time ago when we had Planners Day and we could do that in the real flesh. Was the last time I've been over there, so it's been a while. Is there signage there?
There is, I believe it says fishing only on the dock. Chief, do you have correct?
And how many times, Mr. Kelly, have we responded to the lake because of people not fishing, maybe doing something else? I'll let you run the imagination of what those other things are.
I don't know what the number is, but we've seen those complaints, and I've actually witnessed that situation, that dangerous situation where several youth are out on the end of that dock, seeing if they can sink it. And of course, the concern is because of that that dock is articulated, meaning it has a couple of moving parts. There's a potential for those joints to fail, which could potentially lead to that dock flipping or something like that, or floating away and maybe catching a swimmer. I don't know if there's I guess it would take probably the generation of an ordinance to designate a swimming area or designate the dock as a fishing dock only, where there could be enforcement taken on that. But I guess that would be up to council to make that decision.
Okay, and then, so we have signage. That doesn't seem to be working. Is there a reason why we're using, just out of curiosity, were other bids obtained other than Topper? Do we go through a bid process, or do we not have to in this situation?
In this situation for the rental of the equipment, we did not have to.
Okay, and then, I think that's really all I have on that, unless I change my mind after he talks.
Mr. Plaza.
Just a real quick question, and there may not be an answer, so take it for what it's worth. Okay, now that we've become aware that a dock that's owned by the city is being improperly used, and we are discussing the potential of removing it. If we don't remove it, and somebody ends up doing something stupid, and they get hurt on it because we left it there, what's the liability for the city?
It could be what is called an attractive nuisance. If you have something out there that tends to draw people, even if you have signs up there, you can still have liability. And if the harm is significant, you can tell the city to
Perfect, thank you.
Councilman Frederick.
So, to follow up to that, then, presumably this hearing tonight, if the council were to say, nah, keep it up, just keep the dock up, and something did happen, this could be used as a, well, they knew it was a problem and chose not to do anything for it. Right, and then so, the other question I have is you're asking for a budget amendment, but you're not asking for, us to approve the removal. You're going to do it. That's the way I look at this.
It's already been removed.
It was already severe enough.
So, if I don't approve the budget amendment, if the budget amendment does not get approved by this body, it seems like you've already spent the money anyway. Did you not have the money in the existing maintenance budget for that department?
The parks budget is tight, so if city council decides not to approve the amendment, we are going to be forced to find it elsewhere in the park fund, which most likely will come out later.
Yeah, it doesn't, nowhere on here does it indicate what department is currently paying for the removal. It just says that it's coming from, the money that you're requesting to be transferred is coming from the general reserve fund. So,
It is the park fund.
I understand. Thank you.
I just like to say, this is why we can't have nice things here. We get this really cool dock, and I remember when Tracy got it.
There's a nice picture up on there.
Yes, and it was super excited that, hey, now there's a way that folks can go out there, like if you're, exactly, if you're impaired in any way, it's a way for you to access the river. And so this picture has like 20 some odd kids, maybe 30 kids on the edge of that. I mean, I did a lot of dumb stuff when I was a kid, but I mean, come on.
But you didn't think about suing when you were a kid.
Right, exactly.
But people
Well,
sue
see,
Abby now.
kids like to do a lot of shenanigans, and then their parents look at it as a payday. And so, but I mean, I think it's kind of sad. I really feel sad that there's probably people who access that for its proper use, and that's to fish and not to like pile 30 children on the edge of it just to try and break it.
I could clear that dock off in a matter of a second if I showed up in a Speedo.
the whole park to yourself.
What are you? Where were you before this happened?
Oh, wow.
So,
I'll never get that back.
but I mean,
Moving on.
yeah,
Moving
but-
on.
There you go.
Anything further?
No.
See none. Action item number 2, budget amendment for dock removal at Horseshoe Lake Park. Mrs. Anderson.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman,
Speedo, yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza,
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks,
Yes.
Councilmember Raps.
Aye.
The action item has passed. Moving on to action item 3, authorize correction to resolution 737. My 12 hours are about up. I didn't bring my phone.
I figured that.
Yeah. She's wearing down quickly.
Move to authorize the correction to resolution number 737.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Frederick, second by Councilmember Chapman. Councilmember Frederick.
I have no discussion.
Councilmember Chapman.
No comment.
Further discussion? Seeing none. Mrs. Anderson, action item number 3, authorize correction to resolution 737.
Councilmember Plaza,
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks,
Aye.
Councilmember Raps,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith,
No.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Ooh, nice. Well done, Mr. Smith. Action item number 3, 5 yeses, 1 no. I don't know. Moving on to action number 4, resolution 738 ballot measure for, oh my gosh, excuse me, a form of government. Don't look at me.
Move to adopt resolution number 738.
Second.
Oh,
Psych.
Stereo.
Mr. Plaza. No, I'm saying you're backing off that. Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Fredericks.
A lot of this discussion, I think, has already occurred here. I think this is the right time. I appreciate the executive branch of government being a part of this, and I hope there's unity from this board on this measure before we bring it to the voters. I think the time has come. So I urge adoption of this resolution.
Councilmember Plaza.
Okay, now, I know a lot of people are going to think that this is just the evil council trying to get around the voters like we always do. But just to clarify a couple things, if, one, this is just going up for a vote, so it's not doing anything that the citizens of Woodland don't want it to do. But even if it passes, we will still have a mayor, is that right?
Yes.
He will still be the executive person on the council. He will still go around doing the mayorly type things. Yes? No?
No.
He would
and
until
yes.
his term is up.
Yes and yes.
Well, I'm not
and
talking
no.
about him specifically, I'm just talking
Just in
about the
general.
role.
Right.
More of a ceremonial head.
Right, so.
Right.
So the city manager will be the executive of the city.
No, he'd be like the role he has on the council now, the mayor would still continue to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
So he would chair the meeting.
That's what I was looking for.
And he would be
Oh, okay.
kind of the official face of the city.
Right.
For events, things like that.
Okay, I didn't mean to say that he would be the executive officer of the city. I was referring to his role on the council. So technically, other than being in charge of the day-to-day operation and administrative and financial part of the function of the city, the mayor wouldn't really lose any, what's the word I'm looking for, roles that he is currently filling now. More or less.
Correct. Other than the executive.
Right. Perfect. And so, getting to back what Mr. Fredericks had said, the city itself is more or less, it's a business. You know, it's what is it, how many millions of dollars in revenue do we do a year?
Or revenue, I know our budget.
Or not revenue, but budget.
24 million?
$24 million. And the way that our current government has been done is you could have Jim Bob from down the street, who hasn't worked a day in his life, flunked out of 7th grade, suddenly become mayor just because he's a nice guy and he's very popular in town, and run the city into the ground. Or we could have somebody who has got the education, the training, and the experience to run a multi-million-dollar business in a way that it succeeds, and just because the person doesn't live in the town that he is working in doesn't mean he won't do a good job. I mean, we have police officers, we've had chiefs of police, we've had firefighters, we've had a lot of people who technically have a lot more authority and a lot more power than a city manager would have, who do not live in the city of Woodland, but happen to just somehow did a great job. So the theory that you have to have a good old boy hometown mayor in order for the city to function in a positive and progressive way is a silly theory, and it's one that I think the city has outgrown. And I think it is time that we have a person running the day-to-day function of the city in a way that the cities of Woodland deserves and demands. And I think the only way we can do that in a continuous fashion is by changing our form of government to a manager or council manager form. So I'm all in favor of moving this forward.
This is just making it so that it appears on the ballot in November, correct?
Right.
So
Yes.
that the voters can make a decision.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything further?
I'm assuming that if this passes, that there's a process and a timeline that is required by the elections department in Cowlitz County that we have to comply with, so there's timelines here.
I want to say it's August 3rd-ish.
Yes, so in August, I don't have the specific date, but early August, we need to submit a resolution if we want to put it on the ballot.
Okay, is there any other requirement, other than this resolution, that's required council-wise? Do we have to take any further action?
I don't believe so.
What about, if this were to pass here tonight? Do we have to come up with someone who's for and against it for the voters' guide? Okay. What if there's no one for or no one against either way? Let's say you have someone who's against but not for. How does that work?
Well, I believe the county also tries to find
Okay.
one against, and if they're not able to, just exist.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Anything further?
I think you're doing a great job with the
Wow, thanks. It's all those people over there.
And I think that you've just identified the real thing. Great guy. Love him as mayor. I don't know if I'm going to do that with the next person. I mean, I got a few folks that I know that could put a few yard signs in their yard, and they too could be running a $20 million city, and they shouldn't have the ability to run a $20 million city.
I've heard other complaints from other people from other areas who have that form, and I mentioned that it was talked about going to this town, and they're like, "Don't do it. You lose your voice." And there is a fear on it. So.
Is this not the same form of government that the city of Battleground has? It is. Yeah. And look at how successful the city of Battleground. I mean, remember when it was just Rockies out there and like couple miles of field, and now it's a pretty big town with a pretty big budget. All kinds of stuff happening there, so.
Washougal is the same way, I think. Are they that way?
I think Richfield.
Is the Richfield manager?
I believe Horseshoe is with the city of Kelso, the city of Longview, the city of Richfield. So it's, if you look nationally, local governments are.
And I would disagree that you lose your voice, because in this case, the voice is through the council, and if the council does not like the work that the city manager is doing, the council by 4 votes can remove the city manager from the city. So make enough poor choices as a city manager and you can find yourself on the unemployment line, usually with a pretty good severance package though.
Yeah, and whereas with the mayor council form of government, even if we have the worst mayor ever, there's nothing we can do about it.
You select the mayor. The council selects the mayor, because it's just a figurehead.
No, I'm talking about if we kept it the way it is now.
Then you gotta vote the mayor out in 4 years.
Yeah. My pill's running out.
You know, realistically, I don't even know why I voted, like the last time this came up, I don't even know why I voted against it, and I think it's because I did not trust the people in charge to make the decision on who they would hire for that position. Because for years, there's been a lot of nepotism and shenanigans in this town, and we see people comment that people have lived here a long time, they all have their ideas of the kind of shenanigans that have played out in local government. And I think that's why I personally was resistant against it. But Mr. Boyce, I think people would agree that I don't know of any shenanigans he's tried. I mean,
He's a shady guy.
he apparently, I mean, anybody in that position, I think somebody who is that in tune with the budgeting process and making sure that we're saving money, and he's in charge of a lot of things. It's, as much as I hate to admit it, I think Woodland outgrew this form of government a couple thousand people ago. Just, and it's gonna continue to grow. And I think us old school Woodlanders, I think it's more nostalgia than it is based in any kind of, I don't know, common sense. I don't know. It's we have, I think it's more of a nostalgia thing of keeping it the way it is. But I mean, I will be the first person to admit I am afraid of what kind of damage somebody could do put in that position. To be put in the mayoral position, I guess is the word. But just because I know how much effort and work has went into trying to rectify years and years and years of crappy management. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of scary for me. The whole conversation is kind of scary, and so I'm not sure. I think it's up to this, I already know how I would vote for this resolution, just because I'm a firm believer that the people of Woodland should decide things like that. So yeah, but I think that's why I was against it however many years ago. Just, I think it's more nostalgia. I think that's it. Because I can't see, I'm a grown-up, I can't see any other reason why we would want to say, yo, gee, here, 25 mil, get on it, make it so, when they have zero experience whatsoever. I mean, like, I literally oversee a lot of money in my daily life, and that's kind of scary for me. Like, I'm not qualified for that, but apparently when you're good at what you do, you get a lot of money, and now you gotta manage it, so, anywho, so, I'm rambling. Let's go home, hurry up, let's move on.
Just money needs to go first.
Mr. Smith?
I sit here and I'm hesitant on it. I think you got, what, 3 more years before you have to run again? 2.5? I guess I would sit back and say, when you hit the last year, then I might be more apt to it, but if you're wanting to stay on, then I'm okay with it. Now, if Mayor Pro Temp had to step in, I would vote immediately for it.
Mr. Fredericks?
I think you have to kind of look at history. We had, before I got on board, we had a phenomenal public works director. She left the city of Woodland because she didn't want to work for the mayor who wanted to play mayor at the time. And we got progressively kind of worse in a couple of the positions, not just saying that position, but we got worse as the years went on. We just like, I guess I'll apply to go to Woodland. We get 2 applicants and we take one of the 2. But if you look at the progress that has been made in every single department since Mr. Boyce and this mayor have been here, we've gotten better. Every department is way better. It's night and day different. If you remove this guy and you put someone else in there, the person that's the anchor in this case is Mr. Boyce. He's the anchor. He's the one keeping it all together. He's the one running the day-to-day operations. He's playing Mr. Policeman.
He's the face.
And he covers here. He's for the staff meeting here on Wednesday. He comes in, he signs checks, he responds to email complaints. I'm not sure, maybe you get a lot of good ones.
I do get some good ones.
Well, good. But at the end of the day, what we're asking for is, in this resolution, we're asking for the voters to decide. Are you okay with how it is today? Keep in mind that in the future you may not have this guy. You may have someone else. And I've seen a few in my time here. I've seen some people who run in an election where I was like, we're going to be in serious trouble if that person gets in. And I guess that's kind of the fear of careful what you wish for sometimes, is that you may not get what you want, and at least we have an anchor in Mr. Boyce. He's the anchor, and we'll keep good staff because the staff report to him. If you get someone who comes in and wants to play public works director, where we've had a mayor that wants to do that, you lose good people. You lose people who are like, I don't know what this person's all about, but I want off the ride. It's not fun anymore. I want to go away because my boss used to be Mr. Boyce. Now it's this mayor who wants to come in and play Sin City with a real city. And so that's, I think, what we're trying to avoid is we have an obligation to look out in the future, 5, 10, 15 years, not just for what's today. And I think the difference is this time is that we don't have infighting, where you have council fighting with mayor, mayor fighting with council, staff going, I don't know who to follow. We don't have that. We have the executive and a majority of the legislative branch that says, hey, I think this would be good in the next 5 to 10, 15 years. This is the next logical step. We already have the individual. And so now we're giving the opportunity to the voters to say, hey, you want to play with fire? You want to continue with this same process that we're on? And this form of government that we have today has worked many years for city governments. Many years. But the fact of the matter is, the complexity of the job has changed. Where now, if you're not careful, you end up with lawsuits. And I don't know, Ms. Holland was here during a lot of those meetings where we had lawsuits that we were talking about, where we were having issues in the police department. We were having issues in the public works department. We had an employee over there who was butchering meat. In the public works department, had a big screen TV, had a place for him to sit down and watch TV while he was supposedly working. Brought his dog to work. That's what we were dealing with in a city that had roughly less than 1,000 people that we have today. And that's risk. And the mayor was fine with it. Let him continue to do it. It was okay. And so, I don't know about you, but could we get a mayor in the future that says, it's okay, let Travis bring his dogs to work, it's fine. Go ahead. Jim, you too. It'll be fine. It's okay. You want to butcher your meat? Come in here, butcher your meat.
No more police dogs.
Yeah, I mean, so you gotta look at it from a perspective of what do we want 5, 10, 15 years from now? And you know what? The beautiful thing about it is the voters can say, we don't think so. We want the same form of government. Well, we did our job. We put it in front of them. And many would argue, well, you put it in front of them before and they didn't go for it. You still got one. No, we didn't. We did not change the form of government. We brought in an individual who could manage the complexities of running a $20 million organization. And it's not a business, because a business is for profit. We're not making any money here. We bring in 20 million, we spent 20 million. It's got it balanced to zero at the end. So we're not running a business. If we were running a business, we'd close it and open it up under new management because we're not making any money. But it is a complex job, and there's a lot of complexities in it. And the question becomes, should we leave it up to this guy to do it full-time or even part-time? Or should we leave it up to the professionals? And I'm not saying he's not a professional, but he is a professional in his craft. That's the way I kind of look at it. You don't want, like, I can't land airplanes at the airport. People are going to die. I'm not saying it's going to happen here in the city, but I'm not prepared for that. Mr. Boyce is prepared for what he brings to the table, and he keeps us out of the crap. And that's why we have Mr. Randolph for that too. Thank you, Mr. Randolph. And that's the whole idea. Miss Holland, I'm sure, can remember the times where we were settling lawsuits, where we were paying out. We were paying out. And a lot of that was from poor leadership, in my opinion. And I think things are cleaned up now. We have systems and processes and safety measures, but that is because of the staff that has been brought on by this mayor, Mr. Boyce. We've gotten a lot better. I feel so good about leaving at the end of my term. I feel great. I really feel like, wow, the city of Woodland should be proud of its accomplishments. We're moving in the right direction. And the beautiful thing about it, like I said, is you can keep the same form of government. But we've studied the material, and we've come to the conclusion that having someone like Mr. Boyce running the day-to-day operations is in the best interest of the citizens. They have every right to vote us out, disagree, and say no. But we, by this vote, my hope is that we will give them that opportunity to have a voice.
All right, seeing nothing else. Mrs. Anderson, action item 4, resolution 738, ballot measure, form of government.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Boswell?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
The motion has passed. We come to the portion for adjournment.
Adjourn. Make motion.
Second.
Moved by Council Member Round, second by Council Member Fredericks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The time is 9:43.